Hello everyone, welcome back to this Swayam course, Introductions to Farm Machinery and Implements. In this lecture, in this class, we are going to discuss about various equipments, tools for intercultural operations and different types of intercultural operations too. So, any operations or farming practices which are performed after sowing and before harvesting, they all are collectively called as intercultural operations. So, intercultural operations includes weeding, applications of fertilizers and manure, equipments used to earthing up, then applications of pesticides and herbicides, insecticides, and all, even irrigations too. So these are all the operations or practices performed between the after crop is sown or planted and before the plant is harvested, the crop is harvested. So one among them, the very important intercultural operation is the weeding, and that's what we are going to discuss in detail about the weeding. So why weeding? Why we need to remove the weeds? Weeds are unwanted plant. They grow in the cropped land and they compete with the productive crops or our main crop and the pasture for all the resources. What are all the resources for which these unwanted crops compete with the main crops? So that is for space, for the nutrients present in the soil, the light, the water, and many other resources. So for all for all of these resources, they compete with the main crop, and that's how, if they are not eradicated and in time, they will cause the reduced yield of the crop. So weeds are also poisonous. They are often distasteful. They produce burns on thorns, and they also damage the body parts while animals or human interfere in the field for various cultural practices. And sometimes they also contaminate the crop as we harvest the crop. Whenever the crop field is highly infested with weeds, and they also get matured, and their seeds also come along with our main crop while we harvest, and that's how they contaminate the harvest also. For all these reasons, removing of weed is become very much essential. So sometimes they also serve as a breeding houses for various insects and pests. They may be a soil-borne type, or they may be within the plant, and they provide a host for them to breed themselves, and that's how the insects and pest infestations will also increases because of weeds or the unwanted plants which will grow in our main crop field. So for that reasons also, the weeding is must. The main objective of weeding is to eradicate the weeds from our main cropped land or field in order to avoid economic loss it may occur because of reduced yield. So at the same time, whenever we are targeting the weeds and taking actions to remove them, so there must be a focus on no damage to the non-target. So here the non-target are our main crop. So while performing the weeding operations or removing the weeds, one must take utmost care that our main crop should not get damaged. So here the main crops are always non-targets, and weeds are our target, and to remove them, we follow various methods. So one among them and most primitive method of weed control is uprooting them or covering them in the soil by burying them under the beneath the soil, or cut them off and throwing them out of the field. So these are all the three primitive methods of controlling the weeds. And in order to uproot them or to cover them in the soil, generally practiced method is mechanical cultivation. I mean mechanical methods where the cultivation of soil or tillage of soil, where we could able to bury the weeds by uprooting them in the soil, and that's how the mechanical cultivation or tillage is one of the effective method of weed control. There is and economical methods too, but there is a problem with the tillage method of weed control. It is only possible in the field where there are no crops. If there are crops, particularly where the crops are sown in rows, so there, with the help of tillage tool, we can able to remove the weeds between the rows, and sometime, if not operated properly, that weeding operation, there might be chances of damage to our main crop. So tillage is not always a suggested method, recommended method for weeding. but it is one of the effective and economical method of eradicating weeds. Some other methods which includes used for for weeding practices we may use are physical method, where we physically uproot the weeds manually or using manual tools. Cultural methods, where agronomical practices will be performed like crop rotation, intercropping, and many other agronomical practices, which we call them as agricultural methods for weed control or weed removing. Chemical methods, where we apply the chemicals like herbicides, weedicides in the form of spray over the weeds in order to kill them, or the other methods like flame weeding or flaming method, where high temperature flame is directed over the plant, or the plant is exposed to high temperature flame, where that they thermally cracked and ruptured, and that's how they with the time they die, weeds will die. And like that, flame methods can also be used to control the weeds. And biological method is another method where certain kind of insects kind of insects are used to kill the weeds. You might have observed in the field some kind of insects are more attracted towards a particular kind of plant, so they may be weeds also. So like that, insects and other biological methods will be controlling measures may be used to kill the weeds to certain level, certain degree, or to certain stage. So weeds grown within the cropped land are removed or uprooted manually, or by using man-held tools, man-picking implements, man-operated equipments. And this manual method of weeding, either physically uprooting them or removing them with the help of hand-held equipments or implement, is an effective way of removing the weeds and more efficient also. So in such cases where the weeding is done manually, the damage which may occur into the non-target, where the non-targets are our main crop, that is very less, very minimum. The only thing with the manual weeding is that the one has to work in a very tiresome posture, squatting posture, where because of this the weeding capacity will be very low. The work output from the manual weeding, whenever that farm laborers will use farm tools, weeding tools like kurpa and wheel hoe, hand hoe. In many cases, each equipment demand certain postures by the operators, while he or she using those equipment for in tools for weeding operations. So that those postures are very tiresome portions, and because of that, there will be very low work output. Some of the hand tools farmers are using for weeding. We include kurpi. Somewhere in some other regions, they are also called as kurpa, and hand hoe, long handle tools, weeders, dry land weeder, wheel hoe, kono weeder, and these are all some of the commonly used popular hand tools or hand equipment, handheld implement for weeding. So most popular among them is the kurpi or kurpa. This is how the kurpis will look like. They comes in different size and shape, and the size and shape will varies from region to region throughout the country. And the purpose remains same, to remove the weeds, particularly between the rows, and can also be used to remove between the plants within the row. And that work efficiency will be very high, but the work capacity will be low. The another popular tools used to remove the weeds are long handle tool. So the long handle tool, the name for such weeding tool comes from the handle and its length. They may be from 1.5 to 2 meter long handle they come with, and that is intentionally, that they made with intention that the operator or farm labor or farm worker no need to use this equipment in squatting position, as it is the case in the case of kurpi. So by using kurpi, the labor has to sit like this in squatting position, or he must be work in bending posture. That both are not comfortable as long as the farmer's work duration is concerned. So he can't work for long with those posture. So to improve the working environment with the tools, so the long handle tools are introduced, where they come with long handles of up to 2 meter length, and they enable operator to work in standing posture. So while the users in standing posture, he may operate it, and the effort he has to put is to either to push the equipment over the weeds or pull the equipment over the weeds, and that's how, as it is pulled or pushed or both combinations of push and pull, the weeds will be uprooted. And as a soil working tool, it may equipped with straight blades, or it may have V-shaped sweeps, or it may have a serrated cutting edges, cutting tools as a soil working element. And the weight of this implement may be around 1.5 to 2.5 kg, and they work better in the soil where the soil moisture condition is at friable state. So friable state of the soil is taken as the guideline to represent the soil moisture content, and where it is suit best for tillage operations. So whenever the soil moisture is at friable state, so such fields field with such soil moisture level is best to operate for weeding purpose with the help of these long handle tools. So the long handle tool may look like this. Any one of these three mentioned, shown in this picture, maybe a long hoe or long handle equipment, where there will be 1.5 to 2 meter long handles will be there, and at the one end they are equipped with the soil working element. So they may be hoe type, it may be rake type, it may be combinations of hoe and rake, or they come with the star wheel, as it is in the case of this one, star wheel on the roller, or they may come with the pegs on the roller, as it is in the case of this one, where as you pull it over the ground or push it over the ground where that ground is full of grasses or the weeds, they will cut them, they will bury them, or they will uproot them, and that's how the weed will be controlled with the help of this long handle weeders. The another popular weeder is the wheel hoe. As the name suggests here, the wheel. So that wheel hoe, the name comes from one of the major component of this this weeder. So that is the wheel. It comes with the wheel. So that wheel, maybe somewhere it is made like this with the help of rings made into with the help of a small iron rods made into given into the shape of ring, and that's how it look like a wheel equipped with the axles and bearing mounted into the main frame, and that's how the whole weight of the implement will be carried by this wheel. And this will ease the work as the operator move this, push it or pull it in any direction. So the effort required to pull the implement or push the implement will be very less, as the weight of this implement will be carried by the wheel. And that's why this type of wheels are called as wheel hoe. Sometime instead of this wheel, there might be a wheel which is similar to the cycle wheel. So one which we see in the cycle, the wheel in the cycle. So such kind of wheel might also be placed in the place of this type of wheel. So in such cases, some people call such that kind of weeders as a cycle weeder, where the wheel of the weeder is a cycle's wheel. So it is a widely accepted weeding tool for weeding and intercultural operation in the row crops, and it is also come with long handled tool, and where operator can use it for weeding while he is in standing posture. So the soil working tool will also be changed according to the needs of the field. It may be a straight blade type, it may be a V blade type, or it may equipped with the sweep as it is in the picture, or shovels too. So there are many options with the users according to these requirement and field's demand. You may interchange this soil working tool into this tine. So tine remains same, only lower part may be changed. Otherwise, some tools will come with the non-detachable lower part in the tine. In such cases, you need to replace entire tine itself. So they may be single tine type, or they may be multi-tine type. So in case of multi-tine type, they may come with 2 or more such tines, where it can remove the weeds in large, in more width in each pass. So even disc type hand wheels are also there. Instead of the tines, they come up with the disc like this, mounted in such a way that as they are pushed forward or pulled rearward, so they will cut the soil to a shallow depth, and that's how any weeds which are there in the field, they will be uprooted. So whatever the weeders so far we've seen, it may be a wheel hoe, or it may be a long handle tools, or it may be a kurpa. They are all dryland weeders. Dryland weeder here in the sense, the weeder which are used where the soil moisture content is at friable state of the soil moisture consistency. So in such cases, this type of weeders are used. If your field is a wet field kind of condition and you want to remove the weeds, in such cases, that cono weeder is recommended. So cono weeder is useful to uproot the weeds and bury them in the soil when the field is muddy condition and crops are sown in rows. So that's how the cono weeder is best suited for rice field. In fact, it is designed for rice field only. So it disturbs the top soil, and that's how it also improves aerations of the soil. So because of loosening the soil to a shallow depth and uprooting weeds and burying them in the soil, so the to the depth till where the soil is disturbed, till then there will be a good aerations takes place, and that's how it facilitates proper growing of crop too. So this weeder also comes with long handle, and there will be a 2 truncated cone with the pegs on their surface, on their periphery, and they also come with the float. So here in this picture, as you can see, this part of the weeder is called as the float, and these are all the 2 truncated cone type of roller, where on the roller there are pegs are there. Zigzag pegs are there. As you push it over the field, so they will uproot the weeds, and they try to bury them in the muddy soil, and that's how the weeds are controlled in the wet field, particularly in rice cropped area where the rice are sown in rows. So this is how whenever the cono weeder is used for weeding in the field will look like this. So there are rows of paddy plants, where in between the rows there are weeds present, and to remove those weeds, this type of cono weeders are used. As it is operated in between the rows of paddy, so any weeds which are there in between the rows of paddy plants, they will be uprooted and they will be submerged in the soil, and that's how to the depth where the soil is disturbed. Till to that depth, the soil will also it will be aerated, and that's how plant will grow vigorously as you operate these weeders. So as I was telling you, the functions of float in this weeder is to keep this equipment from sinking. If float is not provided, whenever you push it over the ground, that implement tend to try to sink in the puddle field or in that wet field, and in such cases weeding is not possible because it will stuck in the ground in that wetland. So to prevent from such occurrence, it is provided with the float, where it prevent the entire equipment or tool from sinking in the ground. So the area which it can cover will be around 0.05 hectare per day whenever it is used for weeding operations. Other than this, there are other methods also there for weeding purposes, which may be use of equipment drawn by the animal or from the tractor, power tiller, or self-propelled machines. So all these type of power sources may be used to operate those equipment or weeding implement. So cultivator is one such implement. It can be used successfully for weeding operations. In fact, this is a very versatile equipment. Cultivator is earlier mainly known for tillage operations, and since it has a provision to move the tines laterally, sidewise, as well as it also have a provision to adjust vertical height of the tines from its ground. So it facilitate to so that it allows to use it as a weeding tool to remove the weeds in the cropped land also. So for that reason, cultivator is also used as a intercultural operation equipment, particularly the two animal drawn or tractor drawn type. Cultivators may be three types depending upon the type of soil working element it consisting of. It may be disc cultivator, where the discs are used as a soil working element. It may be rotary type, where the small rotary units of more than one such units within one entire equipment will be used to remove the weeds. In such cases, where it is employed the rotary unit for controlling the weeds, so such implements are called as rotary weeder. And any cultivators comes with the tine and being used for weeding, and they are called as tine cultivator. So in case of rotary cultivator, in the first row, first two pictures are the example for rotary weeder, where it consists of two rotary units which are used to remove the weeds between the rows of crop. So here the rows of crop, the spacing between each rows must be long enough to permit the equipment. I mean, wide enough to permit the equipment. Otherwise, there might be chances of damage into our main crop. So that should not happen. And the any crop having row spacing between 90 to 120 centimeter, they may be they easily allow such equipment to pass through them without damaging to the main crop. So in such field only rotary weeders are used. Tractor drawn type rotary cultivator, where in this field it may be a cotton field, where in the another picture is of sugarcane field. In the sugarcane field also you can use the rotary weeder type of equipment, for rotary cultivator type of equipment for weeding operations. So this is the tine type cultivator, particularly a rigid tine. It is not loaded with any kind of spring loads. And the tines are here around, there are 9 tines, 4 at front and 5 at the rear. And they have a provision with this clamp and nut bolt system. We can able to move either side, and that's how that cultivators tines will be arranged according to the spacing in the field, crop spacing in the field, so that there should not be any damage to the main crop. And they may be used like this for weeding operations. And like this also, here the tines itself made from springy steel, where they can also act like a spring loaded self springing material. Whenever they encounter any obstacle, they will not get damaged because they swings back, and that's how they prevent themselves and they protect themselves from damaging whenever they encounter any kind of obstacle in the field. So this is how the cultivator can also be used for weeding operations. So self-propelled equipments, particularly the power weeder we call them, they comes with their own engine to perform the weeding operations. In each cases of power weeder, they may come with rotary unit or an equipped with the tines and sweep or shovel type of soil cutting unit or soil engaging equipment or tools. So the both type of the power weeder, which may be a rotary unit type, or it may be a tine and a sweep or tine and shovel type, both are shown in these slides. And they may be used for weeding operations, particularly in wide spaced, widely spaced row crops, or at least in orchard plants or horticultural plants, where the spacing between rows of plant will be very high. So in those fields, this type of power weeders are excessively used, because the chances of damage to the main crop is very less, as the as long as the row to row spacing is sufficient or very high. So in such fields, this type of equipments or self-propelled power weeders are used. So this type of power weeder always have soil working unit at the rear of the machine or rear of the power source or prime mover. So they are replaceable one. Whenever you want to have a tine and shovel type soil working element, then you can remove this rotary unit and replace the rotary unit with the tine and shovel type. If you want to use a tine and rotary unit instead of tine and shovel, you simply remove this part and attach the rotary unit into that. So like that, they come with multi-purpose as per as the weeding unit is concerned. If you want rotary unit, you can attach it. If you want a tine along with the sweeps or shovel, you can use it in the place of rotary unit. So there will be a wheel at the rear of the equipment, and that wheel help you to adjust the depth of weeding. So as with the help of this lever, you can fix the wheel to the forcing into the ground or lifting up above the ground, and that's how it will lift the implement or it will lower the implement with respect to the ground, and that's how the depth of weeding can be controlled with the help of that tile wheel. So tile wheel help you to maintain the operating depth or weeding depth. As I was saying, this type of power weeders are best suited for weeding between the rows of crop which are having wide spacing between each rows, like cottons, sugarcane, maize, even in tomatoes and many orchard plants. So in all these orchard plants like coconut, arecanut plantations field, so there also you can use this power weeder for effective weeding operations. So in addition to that, whatever the weeders which are there, mechanical weeder, particularly those tractor drawn type or animal drawn type, they can, with the help of them, we can able to remove the weeds within the the space between the rows, between the rows of crop. Whatever the weeds which are there, they may be successfully and efficiently uprooted, they may be buried in the ground, or they may be cut off, and that's how they may be controlled effectively. But as far as the weeds which are grown within the rows of crop, they are very difficult to remove with the help of mechanical tool, because whenever we target them, the chances of crop getting damaged will increases. So keeping that in mind, there are some weeders which are introduced and they are called as finger weeder. And these finger weeders, as their name indicates, they will have a rotating disc on their periphery. There will be a number of flexible fingers, and those fingers will penetrate and move in close proximity with the main crop within the cropwood line. And that's how, is there any weeds present in the cropwood land, they may be loosened, they may be uprooted, and they may be killed within the rows of plant, in addition to removing the weeds between the rows of plant. And that's why the finger weeder is one of the, it is referred as one of the effective weeding tool to remove the weeds, not just between the rows of crop but also between the plants within the rows. So as you can see in this picture, these are all the finger weeder, where there is a roller and on its periphery there are flexible fingers, and in each row there will be two such fingers which are inclined in such a way that they close in close proximity with the main crop, and they loosen the soil around the main crop. And while losing the soil, is there any weeds which are around the main plant, they may be uprooted and they may be recovered from the field. And that's how the weed within the rows of plant crops around the plant will be removed with the help of a finger weeder. So it also comes with the sweep type soil working element, which will take care about weeds present in between the rows. So between the rows of plant, the weed will be removed with the help of a sweep type soil working element which is placed here, and the weeds which are grown around the plant within the rows of crop, they will be taken care by this finger roller, where they go into the soil and move close to the plant, main plant, and is there any weeds, they may be loosened and they may be brought into the surface, and that's how the weeds will be controlled in case of a finger weeder. So finger weeders is a tractor drawn type implement. So it comes with the sweeps, and sweeps will remove the weeds between the rows of plant, as it is in this case, as it is shown in this picture. And the weeds which are grown in the planted rows of plant around the plant, they may be taken care by this finger weeder, and that's how it will remove both weeds around the plant as well as between the rows of plant. And that's how they are all the different types of commonly used popular weeding equipments and tools. If you want to assess performance of any weeder, it may be a manual weeding type, through manual uprooting, or using manual hand tools, human handheld tools, or with the help of animal drawn equipment, or tractor drawn equipments and machines, or self-propelled type of power weeders. In all these cases, their quality of weeding is always assessed through the performance index or through weeding index. So performance of any weeder is measured in terms of output, how much area that weeding is done per unit time, the manpower required, what amount of labors required, what number of labor it required to remove the weeds per unit area, or weeding efficiency, what is the efficiency of weeding, and performance index, and moreover the cost of operation. So these are all the parameters which are taken into account in order to designate the performance of any weeder. Weeding index or weeding efficiency is the one important such performance parameter, where most commonly used and most generally used parameter to assess the performance. So it is the number of weeds which are present after weeding to the number of weeds which were present before weeding. The ratio of this multiplied by the 100 will give you weeding index or weeding efficiency in terms of percentage. So number of weeds present after weeding to the number of weeds which were there before weeding operation. So these two data are required in order to assess a weeding efficiency of any weeding methods. Similarly, there is performance index also. Performance index uses this expression shown in this screen, and the required parameter to assess the performance index includes capacity of the weeder in terms of hectare per hour, power input in terms of kilowatt per hectare, energy consumed kilojoule per hectare, then percent of plant damage and Q is the percent of plant left unweeded. So they are not weeded if they missed weeds. So taking all this parameter and incorporating them into the given expression on the screen, so you will come up with the performance index, and that's how. And the cost of operation is nothing but the cost incurred to weed the field for a given area. That will be cost of operation. So like that, you can have any of these parameter to assess the performance of any weeding methods. So the another intercultural operations after weeding and similar to the weeding is the earthing up operation. Earthing up operation is nothing but placing of soil into the root zone of the crop by removing the soil between the rows of plant or rows of crops. So why it is needed? It is needed because certain crops, their economical parts, which we call them as a tubers, it may be a parts or some other, they may be exposed into the sunlight or into the environment, atmosphere, and as they are exposed to the atmosphere, their quality will be deteriorated. So as far as sugarcane is concerned, sugarcane crop is also require earthing up operation. And for them, we provide earthing up in order to strengthen the root system of that plant. Otherwise, the plant will not withstand as it grows taller and taller. Similarly, earthing up operation is done to various crops. So for the potatoes, we need to bury the tubes under the soil. Otherwise, they will, if they exposed to the sunlight and other, their color will be turned into green, and that is not accepted in the market. And that's why we do perform earthing operation for the potato. And it is same for groundnut also. If it is exposed to the sun, the pods will not form, and that is an economical loss. And to reduce such to minimize such an occurrence, the groundnuts are provided with earthing up operation. Similarly, ginger, garlic, turmeric. So all these crops more or less require, earthing up operation to certain level. Some crops requires only once in their life cycle, whereas some other crops like sugarcane, the earthing up operation is carried out in 2 to 3 stages as the crops grow further and further until the crop permits the equipment to pass through them. Till then, we can have an opportunity to perform this earthing up operation. So it may be done manually, or it may be done using animal drawn equipment or tractor drawn implements. This is how the earthing up operation is done. So this is how here in the potato field, the earthing up operation is being done by having number of ridges attached into the tractor to look like a common tool. So this is the ridger earthing up equipment, where it comes with 5 ridgers, and they remove the soil between the crop and place them over the root zone of the plant. And after earthing up operation, this is how the field will look like. And in case of manual earthing up operation, so this is how, with the help of a spade, the soil will be taken out of the taken up, and they will be placed on the root zone of the plant. And in case of a tractor drawn equipment, so this is how the earthing up operation is done in the sugarcane field, where the soil between the rows of crop is removed, and it will be placed on both sides of the root, row crops root zone. And that's how we can able to provide a stable bed for the plants, where their root will spread and provide a desired stability for the plant to withstand their load as they grow taller and taller. So that's how the interculture operations, weeding operations and earthing up operation comes under intercultural operations. So in addition to this, there are various there are various interculture operations too, like spraying of insecticides and pesticides, applications of fertilizers as the crops are growing as a dressing kind of operations, and irrigations too. They are all the intercultural operations which are performed after weeding. After the plant is sown, seed is sown, or seedlings are planted to the till the crop is harvested. So any operation which are performed in between, they are generally called as intercultural operations. So, the most popular among them operations are like weeding, earthing up operation, plant protection operations, where we apply insecticides, fungicides and pesticides, and irrigations too. So you can use these references for further study as a further study material. Thank you all.